in their veins. Mackie and Judd on SKOR North and SKORNorth.com.
How are you and Kirk? You might have a tweet last January.
I haven't really talked to him yet, but I'm gonna get around to doing that. Apologize to him. Apologize to Coach Zim and Rick about what I said. I take full ownership in that. But I still got to talk to Kurt and apologize to him about that. So.
Just upset at the time, or what sort of precipitation?
I'm just gonna talk to Kurt and apologize to him, and we're gonna have a man-to-man conversation, and we're gonna leave it like that.
I love.
First of all, yes, I love Everson too. Did he call Kirk Kurt there? Did he call him Kurt?
Oh, did he?
He called him Kurt. If you play it back, he calls him Kurt twice, I think.
We don't have to play it back.
Okay, I can't hear it again.
Yeah, I went back. That was observed post press conference by some of my brethren in the media, so I went back and listened to it when I was. He did.
But he did when he tweeted Kirk is ass. He said he called him Kirk. So it might just be.
It just came off as Kurt.
He might have been a little.
I wouldn't put too much stock into it.
Yeah, he's facing the media for the first time, answering those questions. The fastball by Judd.
The fastball.
I'm excited that he's back, and I think he's a good guy to have on this team. If nothing else, it'll provide some entertainment value, which is what we hope to provide you: daily Minnesota sports entertainment. We just want championships here. That's all we want. We want some titles. 1991 Twins, nice job, awesome. Lynx, love you, but we're just trying to push our teams in that championship direction. And part of that process every Tuesday is who gets it, who doesn't. Let's go around the room. Judd Zulgad, lead us off.
All right, I'm going to go with a positive. Vikings, yes, that's right. It's me, Judd. A positive on the Vikings. Who gets it?
It's the first time you've ever said something positive about the Vikings. Wow.
Yeah, ever in my
According
entire
to Vikings
career.
Twitter.
Yep. Born in
this
1969.
This is a landmark moment right now, everybody. A landmark moment.
Born in 1969, and for the first time ever, I will now unveil Who Gets It that involves the Minnesota Vikings LLC, and it's this.
In terms of great radio moments in history, like this is going to go down with, tear down those walls, the Hindenburg broadcast.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, the humanity.
The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth, and then whatever Judd's about to say.
All right, and I'm about to say this. The Vikings get it because while Justin Jefferson returned to practice yesterday for the first time, which was great to see from his shoulder injury, they had him in a red jersey, meaning nobody touch him. He will be catching passes. There was one very close call. So Kirk, actually, it was a nice pass. Kirk fit the ball into the middle of the field for Jefferson, and now it's supposed to be non-contact, but like the defender was coming right at him, and the ball was coming to Jefferson, and he's on what would, I guess, be considered sort of a crossing route. And so, like, collision is in the air, and Jefferson, of course, is not going to not catch the football, so he did. And they missed each other, but I just like the fact that the Vikings were like, okay, he's back, that's cool, he could practice. And if anybody touches him, you're fired. The Vikings get it. Protect him at all costs. You can't lose this kid.
So you and I are in lockstep here because my first who gets it was whoever decided to put the red jersey on Justin Jefferson yesterday. I'm not even going to. Okay, so Mike Zimmer, you get it.
Zim.
There's a lot of things to criticize Mike Zimmer for over the years, but I think Mike Zimmer speaks for all of us, which is just put an end to all of the nonsense this preseason. No one needs to get hurt. There's already been enough crap. They're already, think about this, and we don't have to get into a vaccination discussion, but they took time out of their practice day yesterday or meeting day to have an epidemiologist come in and meet with the players. This offseason has lacked focus. It's certainly lacked touchdowns offensively, and I get that it's preseason and you have to take it with a huge block of salt. But Mike Zimmer and whoever else advised him coming in and saying, guys, we got about 3 weeks left until the week 1 opener. We're not going to lose Justin Jefferson to a freaking ACL or some stupid, he somehow gets tangled up with a cornerback. Rashad Breeland gets a little close. Just put an end to all of it. Bubble wrap any important player between now and that Bengals game because there's just a bad juju with the Vikings in this preseason. So just if you guys have to sit on the sidelines in bubble wrap and just go to meetings, virtual meetings, whatever it takes, the Vikings understood that yesterday by putting him in a red jersey. So totally on board with this.
Yes, exactly right. Don't touch him. Like you can, Dalvin Cook, don't touch him, right? Justin Jefferson, don't touch him. I can go through a list of probably 5 guys. It was suggested yesterday that the really funny thing would have been if they had Kirk remove his red no contact jersey, give it to Jefferson, and then tell Kirk, just put on a normal jersey. That's fine.
just
put on a normal one.
Just get in there
Daniil.
and yeah.
Hey, Daniil, you want to rush Kirk? Go right ahead. Let's see what happens.
All right, so I'll give you a bonus one here because I know Declan's got a Vikings one too. Who gets it? Rick Spielman and Mike Zimmer for bringing Everson Griffen back. And I know that he's going to have to mend things with Kirk a little bit here. Like I know there's a million people yesterday just on Vikings Twitter and Instagram. These are all adults here. You guys think they're really going to throw down? No one thinks they're going to throw down. I'm just saying, like you got Everson Griffen's been a team leader here for 10 years. All right, for better or worse, he's been a team leader. And he openly called the quarterback ass and said Mike Zimmer never wanted him, okay?
Yes.
Like, he opened up a huge can of potential worms behind the scenes. Do I think they're both going to be professional? First of all, Kirk doesn't get caught up in any of this stuff. He's just like Teflon. Like, he never dirties the water. He always puts that big smile on. Like, I'm not worried that, like, Kirk's going to just be Teflon. And I think Everson knows. Everson probably had to spend much of the last 72 hours. There's a reason why they didn't just sign him right away on Thursday last week, right? They wanted to see another preseason game, and they probably wanted to do an evaluation on where he's at mentally and everything. So Everson probably had to spend some of the last 72 hours begging the Vikings, listen, man, I'm not going to upset things in the locker room. Like, I'm not going to go rogue and be missing an hour and a half before a game here. So I think it's going to work out fine. I think he's going to come in here. I know that Zimmer has said he's going to be just kind of a part-time role player. I think he's going to wind up getting the lion's share of the snaps at right defensive end. He knows the system, and he still has gas left in the tank. And so, bravo to all parties involved getting Everson Griffen back in a Vikings uniform.
I love how fans think that that they're going to like start fights and stuff.
No.
That's
They
not the point.
think that you and I and Declan think that they're going to fight.
Right. But that's what they're implying.
Sorry. They think that Judd and Phil.
But have they? But pro sports
No, I'm part of it.
are not office politics. Like, it's not like these guys are in cubicles and it's like they'll be very rational. Pro sports are built around like emotion and things, and so the point with the potential friction in the locker room is guys actually taking sides, and it's Kirk being offended, which Kirk privately probably is, but he won't allude to this publicly. But those are the dynamics that begin when a guy comes back in a locker room when he's insulted a guy who is seen as being key to the team. So it's not like we think, they're going to throw down. They're not going to throw down.
Yeah.
But is it going to create friction and possibly a schism? It certainly has the potential to. Now, here's the interesting thing, though, because I've been thinking about this the last couple days. The interesting thing about this signing, too, though, and it's probably dead on, I think Griffen is genuinely liked. Like, I think his teammates like him. He's a character. He's odd, but he's a character. The Vikings decided, and rightfully so, that Kirk probably has so little pull in that room himself that he might be offended, but there's not going to be like this huge offensive clamoring of how could you do this to us or to Kirk. So like Griffen, I think the good that Griffen brings as far as being a character and a leader and a well-liked guy far outweighs the actual concerns about are there going to be 20 guys who are pissed off because of what they perceive that we've done to Kirk. I think that's where the decision probably became much clearer and easier.
Yeah, Kirk is more of a cog in the machine than most franchise quarterbacks that make that much money, right? Like Tom Brady is the he's the leadership driver. He is constantly in communication off the field with offensive linemen. Like he's giving the speeches before the Super Bowl, all those things. Russell Wilson is the heart and soul and leadership and mouth and voice, and Kirk is more of a cog in the machine. So I think it makes it a little easier to bring a guy in. You can just sort of, sorry about that. I mean, I meant it, but I didn't mean to upset the apple cart. So yeah, I think it'll be good to have old Everson back in the mix. All right, Declan, who gets it, who doesn't?
Yeah, I mean, I love that Everson Griffen's back. He's an awesome player. But I'll tell you who doesn't get it, and it's the Vikings' recent ineptitude at developing starting caliber defensive players. Go back the last 3 drafts. Maybe Cameron Dantzler is going to be the best player from the last 3 drafts that's contributing right away to this draft class, to this current Vikings team. Eric Kendrick's been great. Daniil Hunter, Harrison Smith, you can make a case. Those could be eventually all Vikings Ring of Honor type players. They're damn good players. Anthony Barr's back, but he's also now battling an injury again. If you go down the list, it's hard to find multiple defensive players who are contributing to this team over the last 3 draft classes. And I know Jeff Gladney had a legal incident, and I know that muddies the water a little bit too, but when you have to bring in Pat P., Everson Griffen, Sheldon Richardson, get the band back together per se, that does say something. And yes, I know I've been harder on this defense. I don't know I can plug in 7 guys and just assume that they can be a top 10 unit. I think they're obviously improved from the dumpster fire they were last year. But for a regime and for a head coach who's known about developing defensive players, there is a humongous gap over the last 3 years. When you go back to the 2018 draft class, which starts with Mike Hughes, another player they traded away, that there is a huge hole on this team when it comes to developing their own defensive starting players.
Yeah, I got the list here. Just we'll take away 2021, go 2018 through 20. The defensive players: Jeff Gladney, Cam Dantzler. I think so. DJ Wanham was a 4th-round pick in 20. I think Wanham has probably the best chance of anyone because I think he's going to get more snaps than Dantzler. Dantzler's going to be a backup, and right now, Judd said yesterday he's behind Chris Boyd on the depth chart.
Oh, he most definitely is. Yeah, they're down on him.
So, but I think DJ Wanham has a chance still. But, man, 2019, they drafted actually 4 offensive players in the first 4 rounds. And then it was Cameron Smith at linebacker, Armon Watts,
Armon Watts has
Epps.
a chance of sorts still, but yeah, he's definitely a depth guy.
Jalen Holmes might get some run.
Ooh, got in a good fight yesterday.
Did he?
Yeah, he and Bradbury threw down.
Nice.
It was spirited too. That one was not a tussle. That was real.
Okay, who got pushed backwards? Be honest.
You know, I didn't see it. I just saw the fight.
Okay.
I'm going to take a wild guess here and say Bradbury got pushed backwards.
Probably got forklift. Did he get forklifted back into Kirk there? Probably.
But yeah, Declan, that's a very good point. That's a very good point. And I wonder if that falls more on the coach or GM, combination of both. Know. But yeah, that's an interesting one.
Judd Zulgad, who gets it, who doesn't?
All right, who gets it? I'm going to go to Chicago. And I am going to go with the guy who Matt Nagy actually announced this morning will start the final Bears preseason game, Justin Fields. And here's why Justin Fields at the tender age of 22 gets it. And so, yes, we like to see quarterbacks who get on the field and thrive. I mean, you need to have the arm talent. The mobility helps. Those things are all the starting point. But here's where I'm going to shout out Justin Fields and say this is what you also look for. In his press conference, I believe it was yesterday, Justin Fields called out Bears fans for chanting his name and for basically being anti-Andy Dalton and saying, look, he's the quarterback right now. Support him. I'm there. This is all great. I appreciate you. But the reality is I'm not starting. He is. And you want our team to win. And if you want our team to win, as long as Andy Dalton's starting, he is the most important QB who's playing. I love that. The guy's 22. It would be it's not that he would get up there and applaud what the Bears fans did, but a lot of guys would just say nothing. He actually called out a pretty tough crowd that loves him by saying, hey, I'll start eventually. Support this guy now. Those are the intangibles in leaders that I think you have to look for.
Yeah, he was like, it's kind of amazing. Like he was at recess standing up for the kid that gets bullied, but he's younger by multiple grades, right?
Yes.
And Andy Dalton has been terrible. I saw a graphic put up after the Bears' second preseason game of all of the Andy Dalton-led drives, and it's like he's led like, I'm trying to think, because he's played, I think, quite a bit. I want to say that he's led like 9 drives or something in the preseason, and like 6 of them are 3-and-outs. 1 was an interception.
It's awful.
Another one was a fumble or something.
Yeah.
He's just running for his life on every single throw.
Yes, it's terrible to watch. Like, it's hopeless as far as I can tell, at least right now.
Yeah. And when do the Vikings play the Bears first? It's late, right?
think
Don't
it's
they play
late.
the Bears
Yeah, I think they're playing
twice
yes.
later in the
Yes,
season, so
yes.
they're almost certainly going to face Fields by the time.
But I love
that
what
part of the
Fields
season
did.
rolls around.
Like, good for you, kid. That to me is what galvanizes a locker room, and guys are like, okay, you've got that important off the field as well, where you know how to be a quarterback, which involves much more than throwing the football or calling the plays.
Aren't
thought you were
those
gonna-
the things that
yeah.
people ripped him for? Like he doesn't care about football. He's the first guy to leave and stuff, and like all the
that's
pre-draft knocks.
Somebody start. Yes, you're correct. The question became, did somebody start that on purpose from a team?
That's right.
Hey, Justin Fields doesn't work hard, and then he's going to drop to us.
Maybe it was
So-
Rick. Maybe it was. I mean, who would have
Trader
who would
Rick,
have a reason to try and get Fields to fall to the teens?
Yeah, and then he tried to trade up for him in lowball teams, and the Chicago Bears beat him to it.
Hey, Lions, we'll give you a 7th-round pick for a swap here. What? Who is this? Hey, Lions.
Brian Gutekunst.
Brian Gutekunst. Is that what he sounds like to you? Brian Gutekunst? All right, who gets it? Actually, before I get to this one, I kind of think the Twins are in tea time mode at this point in the season. I know they're going to Boston, but probably booking tea times. The end of the season is on the horizon, and after that Yankees series, I got to think heads are on golf courses. Well, PXG is here to help with that, all right? They're not going to book a tea time for you, but PXG Minneapolis is a golfer's paradise, and they've got all kinds of great clubs for different levels of play. The top shelf clubs, if you're like Declan and you're looking to break 100, these probably aren't for you. If you're like me looking to break 90, probably not for you. But if you're a decent golfer looking for an upgrade, the Gen 4 clubs have landed. Drivers, fairways, hybrids, irons. These are PXG's flagship clubs. Check them out. PXG Minneapolis, Southdale Center. Find out more at pxg.com/Minneapolis. All right, who gets it, who doesn't? Rocco Baldelli doesn't get it. And I believe we talked about him yesterday for a while in statements about something else. Royce in Rap with Royce today alluded to the outing that Rocco Baldelli is talking about here. I'm going to read you a quote after the Twins got smoked 10-2 by the Yankees a few days ago. And Charlie Barnes went 5 innings and gave up 7 runs. He walked 5 in 5 innings and gave up 8 hits. So he also hit 2 guys. So he put 15 guys on base in 5 innings and gave up 7 runs, 109 pitches. Like one of the most unwatchable, terrible, longest death march starts you're ever going to watch. And that says something because the Twins have had quite a few of those against the Yankees historically.
Okay.
And that was a loss that brought the Twins' record to, I believe, 36-107 against the Yankees over the last 20 seasons. And Rocco Baldelli said, quote, Charlie was able to keep pitching, keep competing, and I patted him on the back for that. He's a competitive young man. When he's out there, he just wants to do anything he can to help the team win. The bat boy wants to help the team win too. Here's a new bat, Miguel.
Yes. Yeah, here's Panta.
I just don't understand. I get that he feels bad because Charlie Barnes is just getting smoked by the Yankees and the season's off the rails, but it feels like Rocco only has one gear. Like the team is getting smoked and he's still in that one gear, which is, hey, we're all just out here trying our best and maybe tomorrow the ball will bounce the right way, right?
Yes.
And I'm not asking him to come out and just savage Charlie Barnes. That's not what I'm asking for, but I don't know that we need to be talking about patting a guy on the back for trying really hard in a 10-2 loss to the Yankees that drops you 70 games under 500 against them over the last 20 years. All right, just I don't know. They rub me the wrong way.
He sounds like he is talking about Charlie Brown, not Charlie Barnes. Oh, good old Charlie Brown. He tries hard. He tries. Yeah, Rocco. Wah, 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 wah. No, that's Wes Johnson. Comes out to the mound incessantly. Wah, 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 wah. But you know what? That quote dovetails perfectly with the quote that I read yesterday, where it's always like this. Well, we tried hard. I mean, guys are out there giving their. It's not good enough.
Trying so
You
hard.
You won back-to-back division titles, dude. It's not good enough. Nobody's here to be like, well, we competed. Charlie Barnes is And look, the other thing that drives me crazy is that you actively have guys now around baseball who you jettisoned who are doing a really good job for their teams, and some of those teams are really good.
Yeah.
And you've still got Jay Cave. Like, that's the thing where I have no patience for this whole, well, they're trying hard and we're gonna keep on keeping on. And Lamont Wade Jr. is turned into a really good player in San Francisco. You didn't even have room on a 40-man for Akil Baddoo. Some of these pitchers who you jettisoned are doing fine, and you've got Jake Cave and Charlie Barnes. What are you doing?
Don't forget about Rob Refsnyder, by the way, who his carriage turned into a bit of a pumpkin.
I do feel like this. I'll take a bit of responsibility from our end here. I do feel like the nature of this town and media in particular towards teams gives this a complete free pass. Like, Royce will get on you, but for the most part, like, some of this season should be called out. But I mean, some of this should be called. I'm not saying you call for heads, but they certainly should be getting heat and being ripped constantly. And when Rocco pulls these stunts of, well, we're trying hard, you think that crap would fly on the East Coast?
You know, so yesterday Declan grabbed a clip from Weekend Statements where I said, I don't want to hear another positive word about the Twins until they're able to confront the Yankees without urine running down their legs.
Then you're going to read something. You found something.
And and this is just a small, this is on Twitter. One of the first responses out of the gate was from a Twins fan, and I'm trying to find it here, but I'll paraphrase. Surprise! Oh, here it is. Surprise, surprise! You guys are bashing a Minnesota sports team again. So it's almost like when this is one of the most and again, this is just I'm cherry picking one person's. I think a lot of people are just fed up with this team, and I get that. But it does kind of feel like, oh, why are you bashing them so much? Like, quit beating a dead horse. It's like, you guys, first of all, we've barely talked Twins at all in the last 2 months. Like, once the trade deadline hit, so it's been a month basically since we've talked a lot of Twins on this show. But this team hasn't won a playoff game in 18 years. This team was projected by not only media, but also Vegas to win like 90 games and win the division potentially and make some noise. And they're sitting here going to finish with 90-plus losses. Like, this is one of the most colossally disappointing seasons in franchise history. There is no other way to talk about this team other than total disaster, failure on every level. They whiffed on every free agent signing in the offseason. And they've also whiffed on a bunch of young player evaluations. Like, those are all facts. And so I don't know, do people want positive spin on this season? I don't know why you would. Like, I'm one of the biggest Twins homers ever the last 10 years. Always looking for the positive spin. And I'm sick of this. I don't want to hear about how well they're playing. Oh, look, they had a nice hot run there in the second week in August. Okay, wait till they play the Yankees. And then, like, when I read articles about how, well, Rob Refsnyder has changed his swing, and look at him now. No, he's 30, dude. He's a career minor leaguer. He hasn't changed anything. He hasn't done anything.
Yes.
He's Rob Refsnyder, and that's fine.
Yes.
He could be Rob Refsnyder, but let's not pretend like they have found the natural here.
And by the way, you've been fed this crap before. Like, this is not the first time. It's not like the Twins, they've been successful for the last 15 years. It's been great. You've been fed these same storylines. How many guys have changed, altered their swing, altered their mechanics, and it's going to be, and then guess what happens? Somebody sees a little bit of film of the altered mechanics and they go back to being who they are.
Dude, when you're 30 and you've done nothing in the big leagues until age 30, you don't just tweak your swing and become Babe Ruth. Like, that's not how that works.
I mean, you might become Gehrig, but not Babe Ruth.
Okay.
So the one thing I think happens here, and this is where a lot of the media, starting probably with Bally Sports North, does this town and its fan base a disservice. I don't blame fans, and I feel the same way, for wanting to be positive about the future, possibly. Like, you would like to think, the Twins are going to rebound. Now, I don't know that they are. They very well might not. But you would like to think, 2022 is going to be different, right? But the way that it's different is actually by being, I don't even want to say negative, being realistic right now. Like, if you are just like, it's going to be fine, that gives the team a complete free pass to be like, these dunderheads. And so like, if Bally's actually presented, here are the problems. Here are the problems, and here's the fixes. Like, that's a far more constructive way for the team to be like, oh, people are noticing that there is zero pressure on the Twins. Think about this. This team has fallen apart. They've completely collapsed. And I feel like there's angry fans who don't say much. There are fans who are like, SKOR North being too negative, blah, blah, blah. And then there's the slew of people, and I don't blame them for this, who just checked out. But, like, where's the pressure from? Mm-hmm. There has to be some pressure. And it can't just be like, well, I'm not going to the ball games. And so in actual...
People still go to the ball games. It's a fun place to drink beer.
And that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. But in sports towns and hardcore sports towns, you do get pushback. And this colossal disaster deserves pushback because nobody should have to accept the fact that this is now going to be the reality of the Minnesota Twins for 4 years. It shouldn't have to happen.
Mm-hmm. All right, Declan, you wrap us up here. Who
for sure
gets it, who doesn't?
Speaking of one thing that does get it at Target Field, last night an actual concert and something that was worth cheering for happened in Minneapolis. Green Day, Weezer, and Fall Out Boy performed at Target Field yesterday.
Nice.
Now,
heard it was a blast.
It was. I'm 28. I loved Fall Out Boy, okay? My angsty teenage Declan, I probably wore the same clothes I did when I was 13 that I did yesterday when I was 28, i.e. all black and a flannel shirt.
Still fits, too.
It all still fits me, too, yeah.
I hate you.
And I was really looking forward to seeing Fall Out Boy, and I like Weezer a lot, too. But Green Day seriously put on probably the best show I have ever seen. They were fan inclusion. They obviously have a lot of hits. And they had the whole place rocking they were almost 2 hours yesterday. I didn't get out of there till almost midnight. It was an insane show. Obviously, hadn't been to a concert in a year and a half since the pandemic either, but it was the best show I think I've ever seen, and it was finally something was worth cheering for at Target Field for basically the first time since opening day when they played Seattle and everything was hunky-dory. And ever since then, it's been a little wishy-washy.
Dude, Target Field puts on great concerts. I will say that. I've probably been to like 6 concerts at Target Field.
Yes.
And all of them have just been, at worst, it's like, that was pretty good. And at best, it's like a religious experience.
McCartney was great there when I saw that one. That was so much fun.
Yeah. Billy Joel, I want to say.
Yeah.
Oh,
about
yeah, nice.
3 years ago. Actually, Journey and Def Leppard played there like 2 or 3 years ago. And that was amazing. And then all the country concerts are
they've had
on
a bunch
country
of
mark.
Zach Brown and Kenny Chesney and I think FGL have played there too. But Green Day last night was
awesome.
Insane. It was so much fun.
I love how you're
you're
on an abbreviation basis with Florida Georgia Linemen.
Oh yeah, FGL.
Did you just refer to them as FGL?
FGL. Yeah, the Backstreet Boys of country music. Yeah, FGL.
Wow.
BSB. The
they
BSB.
Are. BSB.
Backstreet Boys.
They are though.
The Backstreet.
They are. They're the Backstreet Boys of country music.
Okay.
They totally are. They totally are.
So all right, that's who gets it, who doesn't here. Mackie and Judd.